news stories that I thought were interesting. So El Salvador has switched to Bitcoin as one of their two official currencies, the other one being the US dollar, and more information is coming out about how it works. One thing that puzzled me from the start is that the Bitcoin transaction cost is about $30, and so you can't possibly use it for ordinary purchases. That's too much. And so there's some off-chain solution, and now they've kind of explained how it works. You have to install this special app, and then you trade not Bitcoin, but just something they claim is a Bitcoin, and it's never backed up by anything, so they can just print an arbitrary amount of money. So it's basically, I think, just fiat currency that they can print without limit, which is kind of what I figured, the only thing they could possibly do. So this is essentially the same thing as Tether, which is what runs most of the cryptocurrency scams. You really trade Tether instead of dollars, and they pretend that Tether is worth $1, and they pretend it's backed by $1, but none of that is really true. And they claim that some of these Bitcoins are backed by real Bitcoins, but the entire country of El Salvador has a treasury of like 500 Bitcoins, which doesn't really seem like enough to back it all up. So yeah, 550 Bitcoins. So anyway, it sounds like it's just another scam, with the cryptocurrency just being the dazzle to distract you while they pick your pocket, which is usually what 90% of cryptocurrency things are. Anyway, so I read about this and I thought it was just a joke, but apparently it's true. You can save your home from a fire by wrapping it in foil. They say it doesn't always work, but it works pretty well. This isn't just normal tin foil. You're buying special like insulation with shiny metal outside. And they say if you really thoroughly wrap your whole house in this, stapling it in place, then it has a pretty high chance of repelling the embers that are blowing around and surviving a fire. And firefighters use it to preserve buildings in fires. So that's interesting. So Los Angeles is requiring the vaccine for all the students, and I think also all the staff. And Biden just declared that he's going to do a lot of the whole nation requiring the vaccine. I'm really glad to see this. I would sort of like it if we could knock off the lockdown and go out in public again, and I could teach in face-to-face classrooms again and all that. And it's never going to happen until people take the blooming vaccine. So Biden has stopped being Mr. Nice Guy, and now he's going to mandate vaccines for all the federal employees and for all the private companies with 100 employees or more under OSHA regulations, which sounds like a great idea to me. I think that's entirely reasonable to say that making somebody go to work in a room full of unvaccinated people is a violation of worker safety. And that seems to be the attitude he's taking. Of course, he'll have huge pushback from the vast wing of the Republican Party that has decided that vaccines are terrible and that masks are terrible and we just need to spread this thing in order for them to get some kind of political benefit. But an increasing number of important Republicans are even coming out against it, like Mitch McConnell and stuff. I mean, it's not even like all Republicans are on board with this deliberately spreading the plague stuff. It's that's a really hard one to sell. Some people are, but the people who want to become president are pushing it all the way, like DeSantis from Florida and the mayor and the governor of Texas. Both of them want to become president, and they're convinced in the modern Trumpy Republican Party that the only way to make it to be president is to be the most crazy. Absolutely because you'll lose if anybody is to the right of you, so you have to push conspiracy theories, fake medicine, lies about everything, or you'll never win in the current Republican primaries. That's what they believe. Anyway, I was not aware of this. This is a modern way to make money on TikTok. Apparently, if you make a popular TikTok and you get like hundreds of thousands of people watching it, you make thousands of dollars. So in order to make it popular, one thing a lot of people have started doing is they catch cheaters. They'll watch the text messages of a person next to them on the airplane, or see a couple in a restaurant and take a video and put them up and say, see, this guy is married, but here he is cheating on his wife. And this, of course, leads to breakups and fights and anyway, and a lot of money for the people who post it. I see some companies will lose government contracts. If they don't want to lose money. That's right. That's the thing about any government mandate. That's right. If you violate OSHA rules, then you lose money. Trump was booed by his audience. That's right. Trump tried to tell him to get the vax about 3 weeks ago, and his audience booed, so he retreated. So this is the thing that happens to all populists. They See, the trick to be a leader of a populist movement is to not actually lead people, but instead to just figure out where they're going and run in front and pretend to lead them. And so you have to say what they want to hear. And that's why for like years everyone was saying Trump is not being responsible because he could tell his followers to get the vaccine and they would. But now we know that is not true. He can only tell them things they want to do. When he tells them something they don't want to do, like the vaccine, then they'll even boo Trump. So Trump is not really in control of his own people, which is what typically happens with populist movements. This is the problem. It's easy to stir people up with talk like racism and conspiracy theories, and once they're good and mad, you've got an angry mob, but you're not really in control of them, and that's where the Republican Party is. Anyway, we'll see if it burns out, but I don't have much hope of it. We're going to see. Next 2 to 4 years are going to determine the future of America for a long time. So Andrew Yang, the failed presidential candidate and the failed mayoral candidate in New York City, is now going to launch a third party, which sounds even stupider than the previous things he's done. I mean, he seems like a smart guy. He has a lot of interesting ideas. His main idea is universal basic income, which seems very logical, but this seems pointless. And he used to talk about how he would run the numbers to only do things that are logical. And I highly doubt that launching a third party and running for president has any chance of success. But we'll see. We do need something other than the current Republican Party that's gone completely nuts, but I don't think Andrew Yang is it. Yeah. So we'll see. And so somebody sent me this. One of the students sent me this. This is some kind of game where you get to hack a box. He's made a series of videos, and he'll guide you through all the steps to hack the box, and you get to choose what to do. So you take one of the simpler boxes. Hack the Box is a place where people can post vulnerable virtual machines, and you can practice hacking them for free. And there's some kind of pay service too. And so some of them are very easy. So he chose an easy one, and he has a step-by-step guide how to hack into it. So you might want to check that out. And I'll post the link in the chat in case anybody wants it. All these links, by the way, are all on my news page. If you go to samscast.info, there's a news link at the top. And they're all in the last couple of days of news here. We need more parties. Yeah, but mostly they've been good only from taking votes away from the party you don't like. Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, if you have a really strong two-party system, then all a third party does is drain away votes from one party or the other. And Andrew Yang would drain away votes from the Democrats, I suppose. But not very many of them based on his performance in the last presidential primary. I don't think he ever got above 1% or 2%. But, it's... I think that's a very bad idea. I think he really needs to just go back to the Democrats. However, he probably is correct if he's figured out the Democrats will never let him really run for president very much. He doesn't have it. I mean, I listened to his podcast. He's a fun guy to listen to, but he doesn't connect with enough Americans, I think, to ever really make it as president. He's tone deaf in a certain way, the way he presents things. Yeah, becoming the Elon Musk of politics. Yeah, it's something like that, That's why, whenever he ran for mayor, they interviewed a real New York longtime resident and poet and artist or something. She said, if rich people want a hobby, they should just go get a boat or something and not pretend they know anything about New York City and run. And that was the thing. In his New York City campaign, they humiliated him frequently by coming to his campaign event at a subway stop and asking him questions about the neighborhood, and he would get everything wrong. He didn't actually know anything about New York City, and that was considered a serious failure to be the mayor of New York. Larry Elder should have taken Andrew to that homeless camp. Yeah, boy, I don't know. The only way to get new parties is a moderate one that takes votes away from both existing. Well, that could be. Yeah. Well, a lot of good comments up there. Don't want business people in politics. Well, I tell you, I would like to see a military leader in politics. I'm sort of tired of the people who have absolutely no idea what to do with the military, like Obama, who would just do terrible mistakes. I wouldn't mind seeing a general, an ex-general, as president again. But anyway, on we go. Xi Jinping really is beginning to act like Mao Zedong. And I think he's really, my Chinese friends are very afraid, and I think rightly so. The stuff he's doing now is getting really scary. There's supposed to be term limits, but he's already announced he's going to ignore the term limits and just stay in power anyway. He has begun to take over the schooling. He's begun to remove actresses and actors and all their works from the internet and everything to punish them for being insufficiently patriotic. He's begun forcing people to removing shows that contain effeminate men because they're bad for politics. He has pressured people creating new TV shows and stuff that they should have more patriotic shows and more patriotic music. He's totally crushed all the major business people that were getting rich, like the IPOs of major companies like internet companies, so that none of those people will get powerful. Said children can only play 3 hours of video games a day. This is a rectification. And he's begun teaching. Mao had this red book full of like his quotes, and you had to study them like the Bible and do everything the Mao way. And Xi Jinping has put out a list of his ways to do things. Xi Jinping thought is now taught in elementary schools. And foreign games have been pulled. This is all very, very much like Mao, where you want to control everything, the art, the music, the movies, the games, and make everybody recite your sayings. It's where you basically elevate yourself to a god, and everybody has to worship you and do everything 100% your way, and everything foreign is bad. Yeah, say he's pissing off his own people. Boy, I hope so. But I don't know what they can do. But this is pretty scary. I mean, Mao Zedong basically cut China away from the whole Western world for, I think, decades. They just went into total isolation. And it seems to be where he's headed. And of course, also, anybody that he doesn't like just gets disappeared. People are just vanishing. They kill them or lock them up somewhere, and they totally oppress ethnic minorities and religious minorities and anybody they don't like. This is the extreme of the left. That this is what Republicans pretend Biden is. And he's not, but this is what happens when the left runs too far to the left. Right now in America, we're seeing what happens when the right runs too far to the right. But there are times when the left runs too far to the left, and that's what you see here. Anyway, it's looking pretty scary. So MasterCard is buying CipherTrace, which is one of the blockchain analytic companies, so they're betting on crypto. And I see we're up to the official time, so I'll stop this news and start a new recording.